Right, 7 over 16 is a decimal. This sign here is a division sign. So I'm getting my calculator, it's calculate paper, 7 divided by 16. Press S to D. So it's 0.4375. Okay, the other way you can do it, if you actually just want to type in 7 over 16 on your calculator, I can just go straight to S to D and it still gives me the same answer. List of numbers. From the list, write down a cube number. Now a cube number is something times by itself 3 times. So I'm just going to do 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. That's not on there. 2 times 2 times 2. And this calculation might get a bit hard, so I'm going to use my calculator. 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. 8's not on there. 3 times 3 times 3, 27. 27 is here. So that's one cube number I can write here. I'm just going to do it just for any more, even though that, just in case there is any others. 4 times 4 times 4, 64. So I could do 64. So my answer is 64 or 27. It says a cube number, so you don't have to write them both. I just went through them anyway. Find the value of 2.8 minus 0.45, all of it squared, plus a cube root of 5.832. My calculator's decent, so I can just write that down. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So brackets 2.8 minus 0.45 bracket squared plus, now my cube root button is that one there, so I'll press shift and then the cube root button there, which is 5.832. I press equals. I can put it as a fraction, but I'm going to change it to a decimal anyway. 7.3225. Boys and girls in the classroom, probably picking a random boy as a third, also probably picking a girl. Well, it's going to be a third plus what equals 1, and it's going to be 2/3. So the answer is 2/3. Writes down 1 multiple of 9 and 2 factors of 40. Jane adds together her 3 numbers. Her answer is greater than 20 but less than 30. Find 3 numbers that Jane could have written down. Unfortunately, this is just a case of trial and error. So let's do 1 multiple of 9 on 2 different factors. Let's do 9 is my multiple of 9 and my 2 factors of 40. Now a factor is a number that goes into it. So I've got 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 and 40. I'm just going to write down 2 and 5. So add together 3 numbers. Okay, I'm going to use my calculator to add them together. This is calculate paper, which is 9 plus 2 plus 5, which is 16. Okay, so then we need to be greater than 20 but less than 30, so I need to make some of these bigger. I'm going to change my multiple of 9 to be a different one, so I'm going to make it 18. And let's see if that works. So I've got 18 plus 2 plus 5 equals 25. It's not 18 plus 2 plus 5 equals 25. That's one answer I could have had. That's greater than 20 and less than 30. So this one here is correct. I'm just going to choose a different set just for the hell of it. Let's say I start again. So let's say I still use 9. I'm going to choose just a different factor of 40. I'm going to choose 20. And I'm going to choose 1. Okay, I'm going to use my calculator anyway just to add this up. 9 plus 20 plus 1 equals 30. It's not good to write outside the box, by the way. It's got to be less than 30, so that's not right. So I need to make one of these less. I can't make my multiple of 9 any less. I can't make my 1 any less, so let's make this 20 less. So 9 could keep them the same. My next lowest, the factor of 20s, is going to be 10. So 9 plus 10 plus 1 equals 20. It's got to be greater than 20 but less than 30, so 20 is not greater than 20. So I'm going to keep these the same. I'm going to change this one to a different factor. I'm going to change it to 5. Use my calculator just so I'm definitely sure I'm right with this. 9 plus 10 plus 5 equals 24. This is another acceptable answer. Hey, ABCD is a square. The diagram is drawn accurately. A fraction of the square ABCD is shaded. Now, I want to put some measurements on this. I'm just going to make this length here equal 1. and this length here equal 1. And I've done this because my whole square is going to be out of 1. Okay. Now this bit here is half of 1, so my length here is a half. So my length here is a half. So my big square here is a half times a half, which is a quarter. I've got 3 of these, so I've got a quarter plus a quarter plus a quarter. So that's this one, and that one. Now if all of it's a half and this one here is half of a half, that makes the length here is a quarter. And my width is also going to be a quarter. So I've got quarter times a quarter. And if you don't know how to times it, you can use calculator, because it's calculate paper. So quarter times quarter equals 1/16. And this one here is actually going to be an eighth, because it's half of your quarter. So it's going to be an eighth. So it's going to be an eighth times an eighth. So an eighth times an eighth, which gives me 1/64. Okay, now we could make all these denominators the same, but again, it is calculator paper, so I'm going to trust my calculator. So I'm going to put quarter plus quarter plus quarter plus 1/16 plus 1/64, which gives me the answer 53/64. And my calculator will naturally cancel that down. Sam and Max work in the shop from Monday to Friday. Sam draws a graph to show how much TV they sell. Write down 3 things that are wrong with the graph. Right, always check your scales to make sure they're even. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to put there's no 4 on y-axis. Second thing, make sure these colours are always in the right order, because sometimes they flip them around. So it's grey, black, grey, black, grey, black, grey, black, grey, black. So that's not an issue. When you look around, there's no key. So that's my second problem. Now I've just got to check to make sure all these bars are the same length. They're the same length. Good. Make sure the widths are the same length. The widths are, so that's not the issue. Then we look at the axes: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's obviously is days of the week, but we need a summary statement saying it. The same here. We know these are the amount of TVs they sell, but they need like the axes labelled. Axes LA. And axes labelled. Now, just to be clear, this axis labelled is a reason for both axes. I can't say x-axis not labelled and y-axis not labelled, because it's the same reason twice in one big. Here's a list of numbers. Find the median. So the median is, if you put the numbers in order, it's a middle number, and if there's 2 middle numbers, you've got to add them up and divide them by 2. Okay, so let's put them in order. My lowest one is 11. I'm going to put a ring around it. I'm not going to cross it off just in case I make a mistake. 12. I've got another 12. Got another 12. And then 13. Then 15. And 15 again. Then 17. Then 19. And then if we count, the easiest way is to do back and forth to see which one the middle is. So the first one and last one. Then first one, last one. First one, last one. First one, last one. And I've got 13 in the middle, so my median is 13. Write down the value of 3 in number 4,376. I've sort of given it away, but just by reading the number. So the answer is 300. Okay, Rob buys P packs of plain crisps and C packets of cheese crisps. Write down an expression for the total number of packets of crisps Rob buys. Now, an expression doesn't have an equal sign, so essentially it's going to be P plus C, because then that's my plain crisps plus my cheese crisps. Next bit, solve 3x minus 5 equals 9. So I need to get x on its own, so I've got to add 5 to both sides. My 2 5's cancel out because I'm minusing 5 and plusing 5, which gives me 3x equals 5 plus 9 is 14. And then to find what x is, I need to divide by 3. Divided by 3, divided by 3. These cancel out. So x equals 14 over 3. 14 over 3 is an acceptable answer, but if you wanted to cancel it down, Easiest way is just to put in the calculator 14 divided by 3. 4.6 recurring. Adam says, when you multiply an even number by an odd number, the answer is always an odd number. Write down an example to show Adam is wrong. So when you multiply an even number, let's say 2, and an odd number, 3, 2 times 3 equals 6. Okay, there's obviously an infinite amount of alternatives. We can apply just any even number times any odd number. People get confused with the word multiply, because sometimes that's replaced with a product. Same as if that says sum, it'd be added together. Next bit, when you multiply two prime numbers together, the answer is always an odd number. Betty is wrong, explain why. Now let's think for a prime number. Our prime numbers only have two factors, so like 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. The main problem people have is they think one's a prime number. It's not, it's only got one factor. So let's just do any two prime numbers together. The answer is always odd. Well, let's do, I don't know, 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. So that's not actually an example we can use, because we want an even number at the end. Think about what numbers would make an even number. So we've got to think about even prime numbers. There is only one even prime number, which is 2. So 2 times, and it's just any other prime number that's not even. So let's do 5 equals 10. There's an example where it works. You can use the information in the table to convert between kilometres and miles. Okay, use this information to draw a conversion graph. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, 0 miles, 0 kilometres is here. Then I actually look and I actually realise that there's no scale here. My kilometres have to go up to 64. So I'm going to count. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because there's 7, I need to go beyond 64, so I'm going to make it go up in 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. My next one is 5 miles is 8 kilometres. 5 miles is halfway between 10. 8 kilometres is this one here. 20 miles is there. And 32 kilometres is this one here. 40 miles is there. 64 is 64. Then you should get a ruler, but I've only got a protractor, so I've got a straight edge. There's your conversion graph. Second part of the question, which is further, 20 kilometres or 15 miles? Now you've got two options to do this. You can either be working miles or kilometres. Let's work in miles. So I look at 20, I'll go along to that line, and then go down. This measurement here happens to be 12 miles. So I know 20 kilometres equals 12 miles. So 15 miles is longer than 20 kilometres. Obviously you'd write this on the space provided. ABE and CBD are straight lines. Show that ABC is an isosceles triangle. Give reasons. Okay. This angle here is 80 degrees. It's 80 degrees because these are vertically opposite angles. So I'm going to write angle ABC equals 80 degrees as it is vertically opposite. Now it's important to put vertically opposite, even though technically that's horizontally opposite, but horizontally opposite isn't a thing. The word vertically apparently is something you have to put at the moment. Okay, we can work out ACB because angles in a triangle add up to 180. So I want to do 50 plus 80. I'll use my calculator for that. 50 plus 80 was 130. 180, take away 130. Equals 50. So I have to put ACB is 50 degrees. Thus, triangle ABC is isosceles as the base angles are equal. The diagram shows a tank in the shape of a cuboid. It also shows a container in the shape of a cuboid. The tank is full of oil. The container is empty. 35% of the oil from the tank is spilled. The rest of the oil of the tank is put into the container. Work out the height of the oil of the container. Give your answer to an appropriate degree of accuracy. Okay, there's no estimating involved here, so we have to use the actual numbers. First one, I need to work out the volume of this. Now the volume of it is a cuboid, is cross-section times depth. Okay, now my cross-section is 60 times 50. I'm going to use my calculator, just to be sure on that. Which is 3,000. Times by depth, we've got times it by 40. Equals 120,000. Centimeters cubed. Now 35% of the oil from the tank is spilled, so 35% of this number is spilled. Now there's a couple of ways you can do. We can either work out 35% and subtract it, or we could just work out 65%. I'm going to work out 35% and subtract it. I'm just going to use my calculator. I have a percent button on my calculator, so I'm going to do 35% of, what was it, 120,000. Okay, press equals, which is 42000. I'll need to subtract it. If you haven't got a percent button or you don't know where it is, you can put 0.35 or 35 over 100, or you could have divided this by 100 times it by 35. Either way, we still get 42,000. So we've got to subtract it. 120,000 minus 42123. So it's 78,000 centimeters cubed are left in this container. Now it's saying the rest of the oil, which is this amount, is put into this container. Work out the height. Now if you think about it, I'm going to pour it. It might, hopefully it doesn't fill it all up, but it's sort of like if I fill this up, what's my height here? Now I'm still going to use I'm going to make a little formula up. I'm going to use the bottom as a cross section. So what I'm doing 80 times 70 to work out my cross section, which is 80 times 70, which is 560. And so my bottom bit is 5600. And so I know this times my height is 78000. So I'm just going to write it out. So I've got 5600 times my height, which I don't know what it is because that's what it's working out, has to equal 78,000. This is just an equation, we've got to solve it. Solve it, we divide it by 56,000 on both sides. So I'm going to use my calculator. 78123 divided by 5600. ST. Now this is my answer, which is in that space 13.9285714. Now an appropriate degree of accuracy, if you think of height, I'm going to round it to 2 decimal places, which is 13.9. This 8 pushes up to be a 3. Now we've got to think about our units. All of it was in centimetres, so it's going to stay in centimetres. Okay, that's the final answer. Also, don't write below that line. You won't get any marks for a working out. Ground below represents 2 towns. Scale 1 centimetres represents 3 kilometres. Work out the distance between Townsley and Worsley. You get a ruler. It's 5 centimetres. Obviously, I've shrunk my paper down to half the size, so if you are doing this paper, you might measure it 10. So this is 5 centimetres. 1 kilometre equals 1 equals 3 kilometres. 5 is going to be 15. Just because I times it by 5. So the answer is going to be 15 kilometres. Right, find the highest common factor of 24 and 60. The easiest way to do that is to list the factors of both numbers. So if this factors of 24, it's 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. I want to do 5 times, it doesn't actually work, and I don't need to do 6 because 6 is here. Okay, I'll do the same for 60. 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15, 5 times 12, 6 times 10, try 7, 7 doesn't go into 60, try 8, 8 doesn't go in either, try 9, 9 doesn't go in, we don't need to try 10 because 10 is there, so we have all the common factors in both. Now the highest common factor is the highest number that's in both, so we've got 1 that's in both, we've got 2 that's in both, we've got 3 that's in both, we've got 4 that's in both, 5 no, 6 no, 7 no, 8 no, 9 no, 12 is in both. And so the highest common factor is 12, because 12 is the highest factor that's in both of them. It's 12. Now we can do it the other way by prime factorising. So if we want to prime factorise 24, okay, it'd be 2 and 12, 2 and 6, and then 2 and 3. So for 24 it's going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. And then I prime factorise 60. 60 is going to be 2 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 5. So 60 is going to be 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. Now normally people put it into a Venn diagram. I don't like the Venn diagram way. I've got 2 in both, I've got another set of 2 in both, and I've got 3 in both. So I know that the highest common factor is going to be 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12, so my answer is 12 again. It's just another way of getting it. F equals 5x plus 2y, x equals 3 and y equals negative 2. Find the value of f. It's just a case of substituting in the values. So I'm doing 5 times 3 plus 2 times negative 2. Notice I'll put negative 2 in brackets because sometimes your calculator can mess up. Okay, so 5 times 3 equals 15. 2 times negative 2. My calculator naturally puts it into brackets, which is minus 4. And just for the head of it, 15 minus 4 equals 11. So my answer is 11. Jane made some almond biscuits which she sold at a fete. She had 5 kilograms of flour, 3 kilograms of butter, 2.5 kilograms of icing sugar, 320 grams of almonds. Here's a list of ingredients for making 24 almond biscuits. 150 grams of flour, this is in grams, this is in kilograms, that's an important point you have to remember. 100 grams of butter, 75 grams of icing sugar, 10 grams of almonds. Jane made as many almond biscuits as she could. Using the ingredients she had, work out how many biscuits she had made. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to see if she's got, like, what's the maximum amount of almond biscuits she can make with each individual ingredient. And then whichever one's the least, that's going to be the total amount of biscuits she can make. So if she had 150 grams of flour to make 24, she's got 5 kilograms. 5 kilograms is 5,000 grams. And if I divide that by 150 grams, I'm going to see what's the maximum amount just by using the flour. Okay. So 5,000 divided by 150 equals 33. So next one, 3 kilograms of butter. 3 kilograms is 3,000 grams. So I'm going to divide that by 100. Even though you can probably do that in your head, I'm going to use my calculator anyway. 3,000 divided by 100. Which is going to be 30. Then I'm going to do for icing sugar, which is 2.5. So it's 1,000 again, so it's 2,500 divided by 75. 2,500 divided by 75. 33.3 again. I'm just writing 33 because I'm always rounding down because I can't make like a third of one. 320 grams of almonds divided by 10. I'm just going to use my calculator again anyway. Equals 32. So this is really what you want to be looking at. So it's going to be 30 sets. So I want to be looking at this bit here, which is 3,000 grams divided by 100 grams is 30. But of course, remember, this does not represent 30 almond biscuits. This represents 30 sets of 24 almond biscuits. So what we've got to do, we have to do 30 times 24, which equals 720. So 720 biscuits is the maximum she can make. She will have ingredients left over, but she hasn't got enough butter. Factorise 3f plus 9. Factorise means put it into brackets. Highest common term out of both of them is 3. 3 times f is 3f. 3 times 3 is 9. So it's 3 brackets f plus 3. Factorise again means put into brackets. Now there's not a common term in all of them, so and this is an x squared, so I want to think about the quadratics. In this case, we want two numbers that multiply to give you your last term, but add to give you your middle term. This is not a 15, it looks like a 15, it's not, it's a negative 15. So I'm actually going to list all my factors of negative 15, which is 1 times negative 15, 2 don't work, 3 times negative 5, 4 don't work, I don't need to do 5 because it's here. But remember, you got the opposites, so negative 1 times 15 and negative 3 times 5. Which one of these add to give you negative 2? Now, you might think it's this one here, but minus 3 plus 5 is positive 2. So it's got to be this one there. So it's going to be x plus 3, x minus 5. So to make p the subject of the formula, let me just write it. P over r plus s. Always try and start on what's furthest away from the actual number we want to make a subject. So the furthest away, q's too far because it's on the other side. We look at the s. So you have to get rid of the s first by subtracting s from both sides. So q minus s equals p over r, because these cancel out. Okay. I'm going to write over the line here, but don't do this in your exam. Next thing is furthest away from the p is the r. Here we're dividing by r. So the opposite of dividing is times by r, times by r, times by r. These cancel out, so I've got p on my right hand side. And here I'll just write q minus s, put in brackets, and then times it by r. You could expand this if you want to make this rq minus rs, but this is exactly fine what I've got here. A tin of varnish costs £15. A rectangular floor has dimensions of 6 by 11. The floor is going to be covered in varnish. Helen assumes that each tin of varnish covers 12 meters squared. Using Helen's assumption, work out the cost of buying varnish for the floor. So these are in meters squared, these are in meters squared, so I don't have to bother by that. First of all, let's work out the area of this rectangle. It's going to be 6 times 11, which is 66 meters squared. Now, if a 1 can of varnish does 12 meters squared, we want to see how many times does 12 go into 66. I'm going to use my calculator for this. 66 divided by 12, okay, which is 5.5. Let me write down. Divided by 12 equals 5.5. So that's going to be 6 tins of varnish. I'm not rounding up because that's a 0.5. I'm rounding up because even if it was like a 0.1, we can't buy a tenth of a varnish can. So it's going to be 6 cans. A 1 can is £15. So I need to times that by 15. 90. So my answer is £90. Next one. Helen finds that each tin of varnish covers less than 12 meters squared. Explain how this might affect the number of tins she needs to buy. Because might means that in our answer we have to say may or something along those lines. Now, if the tin covers less, then when we divide it by 10 or 12, I'm dividing it by a lower number, which actually means this number here will be higher, which means this number will be higher. So when we multiply it by 15, we get more of a value. So I'm going to either say that she may need to buy more cans, or I'm going to put she may, that's important, need to spend more money. Frank, Mary and Seth share some sweets in a ratio of 4 to 5 to 7. Seth got 18 more sweets than Frank. Work out the number of sweets shared. So I'm just going to put Frank to Mary to Seth, 4 to 5 to 7. Okay, the easiest way is to keep listing common ratios until Seth has 18 more. In this situation here, I'll use my calculator. Seth has 3 more, So I'm just going to put plus 3. So let's do the next one, which is going to be 8 to... In fact, I don't care about Mary. I'm going to start ignoring her. 8 to 14. Which means it's 6. I'm still not on 18. So I'm going to add 4 again, which is going to make that 12 to 21. Which is 9. I'm going to do one more, which is plus 4 more, which is 16, 28. 16, 28 minus 16, which is 12. So I need to do another one again, which makes it 20 to 35, which means it's got 15. This one here becomes 24, so another more 7 to 52. Work out the difference. 18. So it's this one here, where Frank gets 24 and Steph gets 42. So work out the total number of sweets. So now we need to think about Mary's. So let's do it 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So then 24, 30 to 42, we need to add them all together. The answer is 96. So we gave out 96 sweets. Question 24, find x. It's a right angle triangle, so I'm dealing with Pythagoras or trigonometry. We have to find this angle here, so it's going to be trig. Let's label it up. This is your opposite side, this is your hypotenuse, it's your adjacent. We have the hypotenuse in the opposite, so let's just write it down. Some old hag cracked all her teeth on apples. That's how I remember it. I'll say it again. Some old hag cracked all her teeth on apples. I know some of you remember it's so car tower, but whatever. Hypotenuse and opposite is your sine. We have to do sine of x is your opposite, which is 5 over 14. We can type in 5 divided by 14. So trying to find the angle, we've got to do the sine minus 1 function to both sides. In your calculator, type in sine minus 1 of 5 over 14. Press equals. Here's your answer, 20.92. It's the first 4 terms of an arithmetic sequence. Write an expression in terms of n for the nth term. Arithmetic just means it's like a linear sequence, so we're not dealing with n squareds. So we look at the differences between these. Okay, 6 to 10 is 4, 10 to 4 is 14, 14 to 8 is 4, so it's going to be 4n. Now there's 2 ways you can think about it. I can either write my 4 times table, which is 4, 8, 12, 16. How do I get from here to there? I have to add 2. Other way you can think about it is 4 plus 2 is your first term. This is my answer, 4n plus 2. Okay, second part. Nth term of a different arithmetic sequence is 3n plus 5. Is 105 a term in this sequence? Show how you get your answer. Now you could list out the first term, so if n is 1, so it'd be 3 plus 5, 6, 7, 8, and then just keep going all the way down until you get 100 to 8. But the easiest way is to say 3n plus 5 equals 108. Now if n is a whole number, then we know it's in the sequence. If it's not, it's not. So we'll minus 5, these cancel out. Well, 3n equals 105, 6, 7, 8, 103. And then we divide it by 3, and then we divide it by 3. Now I know 103 doesn't go into 3, because one of the rules of divisibility for 3 is if you add the digits and it's a multiple of 3, it can be divided by 3. 1 plus 0 plus 3 is 4. 4 is not a multiple, so it doesn't work. But this is a calculator. So let's do it. 103 divided by 3 is 34.3 reoccurring. So my answer is that it's not in a sequence. So I have to say 108 is not in the sequence. Now this actually tells me it's in between. The 34th and 35th term. Okay. Axel and Anita are driving along a motorway. They see a road sign. The road sign shows distance to junction 8. It shows the average time drivers take to get to junction 8. Okay, so junction 8 is 30 miles, takes 26 minutes. Speed limit on a motorway is 70 miles per hour. Now Lisa says we have to drive faster than the speed limit to drive 30 miles in 26 minutes. Is Lenitha right? You might try to get your answer. Now there's different ways we could do this. We can either see if we did 70 miles an hour for 26 minutes, would that take us 30 miles? Or we could say if we do 70 miles per hour for 30 miles, would it take us 26 minutes? Or we could do if we do 30 miles in 26 minutes, is that 70 miles per hour? And see which one's right. Now, before we even start to decide which one we're going to do, we have to think about what formula we need. And it's speed equals distance over time. Speed equals distance over time. If you ever get confused about that, think about your miles per hour. Miles is your distance, per means divide, and hour is your time. Yeah, so it's like distance per time. Now let's put in what we've got. The distance is 30 miles. Okay, and our time is not 26 minutes because we want our time to be in hours. Unless we wanted to work out miles per minute, we want to do miles per hour. So we need to change this 26 into hours. There's 60 minutes in an hour, so I need to do 26 divided by 60. So my calculator, 26 divided by 60, which equals 0.43 recurring. There is a recurring symbol there if you see, so be careful. So I can put this in for my time now. 0.43 recurring hours, and that does sort of make sense because that's a little bit less, and this is a little bit less than half. Okay, so now I'm going to do 30 divided by 0.4, and I'm going to use my recurring button here. If you don't have a recurring button, just type in loads of threes and it'll be fine. Equals, and I have 69.23. I'm just going to round it, miles per hour. So this means that they can travel less than 70 miles per hour. Is there anything right? Let's answer it. No. L-A-T-H-N-A is wrong. You can make it by going 69.23 miles per hour. Remember to always put your definition in and try and throw some numbers into your definition. It's your answer. The table shows some information about the foot of lengths of 40 adults. Write down the mode or class interval. Right, mode is the most common number. Now people tend to forget when they do this that these are not your scores, these are your frequency. So your most highest number is 10, so that means that most people got in between 20 and 22. So I'm going to put 20 less than or equal to f less than 22. Calculate an estimate for the mean foot length. Now we're estimating, so with the mean we normally add them all up and divide them by the amount of scores. So normally we'd add them up, but we don't know what these scores are, so I'm just going to guess. And I'm guessing by just using the midpoint, okay, which is a middle point. So middle point between 16 and 18 is 17. Middle point between 18 and 20 is 19, 21, 23, 25. I've just gone for a middle number, but you can add them up, divide them by 2. So now I'm saying that we're 3 adults that have 17. I could do 17 plus 17 plus 17, but instead I'm just going to multiply them all. Okay, so 17 times 3 is 51. 19 times 6 is 114. 21 times 10 is 210. Let's show you the calculator. 23 times 12 is 276, and 25 times 9 is 225. Okay, so this is meant to be the same as adding them all up, so we have to add all these up. And plus 114 plus 210 plus 276 plus 225. That's 876. So this is the same as adding up all my scores. Okay, now you have to divide by the amount of scores there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the wrong thing to do because there's more than 5 scores. And if you don't believe me, there's at least 10 people in this column here. So you actually have to add all of these up. Okay, which is 3 plus 6 plus 10 plus 12 plus 9. Okay, which is 40. So to work out my estimated mean, I need to put 876 divided by 40. Okay, which is 21.9. And let's just see if it makes sense. 21.9 in our scale is roughly about here, which is in the middle, so it does make sense, which is nice. ABD, BDC are right angle triangles, work out x. Now if it's right angle triangles, you're either talking about trigonometry or talking about Pythagoras. We haven't got any angles, so we're doing Pythagoras. If you wished, you could work out this angle and then work out this side, and when you get that side, you can work out this angle to work out that side. It's a very long way to do it, but it'll work. But we're not. We're going to do Pythagoras, okay? Which is a squared plus b squared plus c equals c squared. It doesn't matter which way around it goes. Just remember c is always the longest side. So a squared, I'm going to label this as a, b, c. Or 5 squared plus b squared equals 10 squared. 25 plus b squared equals 100. Okay. To solve this, we've got minus 25 from both sides. So then I've got b squared equals 75. Okay. So then b is going to be the square root of 75. So square root of 75, which is this number. I'm just going to save it as the square root of 75. I'll show you how I'm going to do that in a minute. So, now, if this one here, if we look at a big one, I'm just going to label this up again. I'm going to keep it as B, put it as A, so I need to do C. Okay, so again, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Right, A squared is 4, plus B squared, well, because that's the square root of 75, it's the square root of 75 squared. Now, square root of 75 squared is going to be 75. Okay, it just means I'll avoid any rounding errors I could do. We could have just typed in the square root of 75 in this answer down here and use that as the actual answer, but I didn't. Right. So 16 plus 75 equals c squared. I've got 16 there plus 75 equals 91. So I've got a square root 91. This is I'm going to actually use my actual answer. Let's check. 2 decimal places, so 9.539. 2 decimal places is this one here. So is this one here. I look at my 9, that pushes the answer up, which makes it 9.54. A lot of marks is lost due to rounding errors here, so please round properly. Here is a probability tree diagram. Win game A, win game B, 2.2, 0.8, yeah. Okay, work out the probability of winning both games. So, of winning game A, winning game B, is this one here I care about. Okay, so to do that we multiply them together, 0.2 times 0.3. Don't think it's 0.6, use your calculator. 0.06, so I'm just going to do some working out. 0.2 times 0.3 equals 0.06. Okay, and that's your answer.